Welcome back to another survival guide, where we turn your cardboard castle into a tropical paradise. Today we're talking about the age-old human struggle, staying warm when your shelter has all the insulation properties of a screen door in a hurricane. You know what I'm talking about. Maybe you're camping and your tent feels like you're sleeping inside a popsicle wrapper. Maybe you're in that drafty garage workshop, or perhaps you've built the world's most adorable but absolutely freezing blanket fort. Don't worry, today we're going full MacGyver meets Martha Stewart. And by the end of this video, you'll be so cozy you'll forget you're basically living in a human-sized hamster hideout. Before we dive into our trash-to-treasure transformation, let's talk safety, because nobody wants their cozy shelter to become a cautionary tale. First rule, no flammable materials near heat sources. That means no newspaper walls next to your camp stove, no matter how tempting it is to live in your own personal newspaper fort like some kind of hobo millionaire. Second, ventilation is not optional. We want warm, not suffocated. Always ensure airflow. Carbon monoxide is the ultimate party crasher. And trust me, he's not invited to our cozy cabin vibes. Third, if it smells weird, looks moldy, or makes you question your life choices, don't use it. We're going for rustic chic, not tetanus, with a side of regret. Now that we've covered the please don't become a cautionary tale basics, let's get to the fun stuff. Okay, lesson 1, learn the hard way. The ground is basically nature's refrigerator, and you are the leftover pizza nobody wants to eat cold. The ground will steal your body heat faster than a pickpocket in Times Square. So we need to create what I like to call the great ground barrier of warmth. Here's what we're looking for in our everyday trash treasure hunt. Cardboard, the king of insulation. Newspapers or magazines. Plastic bags, clean ones please. Bubble wrap if you're fancy. Dry leaves, pine needles, or grass. Old clothes or towels. Step 1. Create your base layer with cardboard. Flatten those Amazon boxes and overlap them like the world's most practical shingles. You want at least 2 layers. Think of it as building a cardboard lasagna, but instead of cheese, it's well more cardboard. Step 2. Add your air trap layer. This is where newspapers and plastic bags shine. Crumpled newspaper loosely. We want air pockets, not a solid mass. Stuff clean plastic bags with more crumpled paper or dry leaves. You're basically making the world's most ghetto air mattress. Step 3. Top it with something soft. Old towels, clothes, or if you're in nature, a thick layer of dry grass or pine needles. You want to create what I call the Princess and the Pea effect, minus the royal attitude. From freezing floor 2, well, it's not the Ritz, but my tailbone isn't actively plotting revenge against me anymore. Now, let's talk about these walls. Right now, they're about as effective at keeping heat in as a chocolate teapot. Time to give them the insulation makeover of their lives. For walls, we're going full architectural genius with our trash collection. More cardboard? Seriously, Amazon shareholders should thank us. Aluminum foil, the shinier, the better. Plastic sheeting or tarps. Newspapers, fabric scraps, natural materials like moss, grass, or pine boughs. The cardboard castle method, attach cardboard sheets to your walls, creating an air gap if possible. Think of it as giving your shelter a cozy cardboard sweater. If you can leave even a tiny airspace between the wall and the cardboard, you've just created your own insulation system. The aluminium foil disco ball technique. Here's where it gets fancy. Aluminium foil reflects heat back at you like a very supportive friend. Tape or attach foil to cardboard, shiny side facing inward. Your shelter might look like a spacecraft, but you'll be warm enough to consider alien abduction a minor inconvenience. Look at this. I'm not just staying warm, I'm preparing for first contact. The aliens are going to be so impressed by my thermal efficiency, the natural debris sandwich. If you're outdoors, create a debris wall by layering natural materials. Think of it as building a bird's nest, but human-sized and with more newspaper. Pack moss, grass, pine needles, and leaves between your cardboard layers. Pro tip, work from bottom to top. Overlapping materials like shingles, water runs downhill, and so does cold air. So we're basically creating a thermal dam. Nothing ruins a cozy shelter vibe like wind whistling through every crack like some kind of Arctic banshee. Time to show that wind who's boss. First, we need to find the infiltrators. Light a candle or incense and slowly move it around your shelter. Wherever the flame flickers or smoke moves weird, that's your enemy. Mark those spots we're going to wage thermal warfare. The stuff it strategy: rope, caulk, or modeling clay for permanent structures, rags, towels, or fabric strips for temporary solutions, duct tape, the universal problem solver. For natural shelters, moss, mud, or pine pitch. The curtain call method: create door curtains using tarps, blankets, or even just hanging towels. You want to create an airlock effect, like a very low-tech space station entrance. Look at this, entering my humble abode like some kind of survival royalty. The wind doesn't even know I'm here. The wind wall wonder: if your shelter is in an exposed area, build an external windbreak using whatever you can find. Stack logs or rocks, pile up debris bags. Create a tarp barrier anchored with rocks or stakes. Remember, even a partial windbreak can reduce wind speed significantly. We're not trying to stop a hurricane here. We just want to take the edge off that Arctic blast. Now let's talk about your personal heating system, aka your magnificent human body. You're basically a 98.6-degree furnace on legs, and we need to maximize that thermal output. Layer like your life depends on it. Base layer, moisture wicking, or at least dry. Insulation layer, trap that precious body heat. Shell layer, block wind and moisture. But here's where it gets creative with our found materials. The newspaper jacket, stuff newspaper between your clothing layers. You'll crinkle when you move, but you'll be a warm, rustling legend. Plus, you can read yourself if you get bored. The plastic bag sock system. Clean plastic bags over your socks, under your shoes. It's waterproof and adds an insulation layer. You might sound like you're walking on potato chip bags, but your feet will thank you. The aluminium foil cape, wrap foil around your core, or use it as a blanket liner. You'll look like a baked potato, but a warm baked potato. Look at this. I'm part newspaper, part space alien, part potato. I'm the most thermally efficient cryptid in the forest. Heat retention hacks. Warm up stones by a fire, wrap in cloth, use as heating pads. Fill water bottles with warm water for portable heaters. Do jumping jacks or push-ups to generate internal heat. Share body heat consensually. Huddle up like penguins. All right, let's see what we've created. We started with what can only be described as architectural despair, and we've transformed it into a thermal paradise. We've got ground insulation that would make a mattress salesman weep with envy. Walls that actually keep heat in instead of letting it escape, like a thermal prison break. Windbreaks that make cold air go, nope, and find somewhere else to be annoying. And we're dressed like the most prepared person at the apocalypse fashion show. The difference is incredible. What was once a freezing cave of misery is now, well, it's still technically a shelter made of trash, but it's a warm shelter made of trash. And honestly, that's basically the American dream right there. We've gone from my breath is visible to I might actually need to remove a layer. That's not just improvement, that's a thermal miracle. Here's the thing about staying warm. It's not just about following rules, it's about getting creative. Every situation is different, so let your inner mad scientist run wild. Creative ideas to try. Use Mylar emergency blankets as wall covering for maximum heat reflection. Create heat chimneys to circulate warm air. Build raised sleeping platforms to get off the cold ground. Make draft snakes from filled tubes of fabric. Use car sunshades as insulation panels. Maybe you'll discover that potato chip bags make great insulation. Maybe you'll invent the next great survival technique using nothing but pizza boxes and determination. The point is, don't be afraid to experiment. The golden rules. Safety first, always. Layer everything. Air gaps are your friend. Stop heat loss before trying to generate more heat. Get creative, but stay smart. If you're warm and cozy, you're doing it right. So there you have it. From shivering sadly in a cold shelter to living like a warm, resourceful genius. You've learned to turn trash into treasure, cold into cozy, and misery into, well, slightly less misery with significantly more comfort. Remember, you don't need expensive gear to stay warm. You just need creativity, some basic materials, and the determination to not let a little cold weather defeat your spirit. If this video helped you go from freezing to toasty, smash that like button. Subscribe for more survival tips that won't break the bank, and drop a comment telling me about your most creative shelter warming solution. And hey, if you're watching this because you're actually in a tough situation and need to stay warm, I'm rooting for you. You've got this. Stay safe, stay warm, and remember, better days are coming. Until next time, stay cozy everyone. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go explain to my neighbors why my backyard looks like a cardboard fort explosion.